use has a password and username user. Yeah, and that's a huge security entrant. Well, any person who's just trying to use a dictionary on an account, it's going to find this within maybe seconds, or it's one of the first things to try. And it's very easy to penetrate networks if people do this sort of stuff. But when you're using Windows, you just know it's guaranteed that you always have some zero-day flaw, and there are like 3 critical flaws, I think, delivered tomorrow, on Tuesday, for Windows. At least that's what Microsoft says. Of course, Microsoft is lying about the numbers, but that's
the flaws are being delivered tomorrow. that's a new angle for Microsoft.
At this point, nothing would surprise me. What else can I just end? Because I think I certainly feel as if I've been harsh on Anonymous and the many people from probably many different countries involved. What I would say is the one thing we can thank Anonymous for is bringing up people's awareness of these issues. Now, like I said, I don't want to get involved in the rights and wrongs of what's been done, and it's a massive hornet's nest, and there's so many ifs and buts, and so if we put that to one side and just consider that Anonymous have managed to bring into the mainstream the question of knowledge and making people aware of what's going on, and obviously supporting causes, and that has to be a good thing. Regardless of what's happened or alleged to have happened in the past. So they have done some good. One could argue that the ACS law, for example, the email leak, if reports to be believed, had nothing to do with the denial of service attack, other than when the server was brought down, a incompetent admin on ACS law side reinitialized the server and set it back up, allowing exposure to the emails that were there. So, and for the 26 people that currently find themselves at the end of a court case, I'm sure that particular email leak is certainly beneficial, and it's helped probably thousands of people in the future from getting very embarrassing or very distressing letters from companies like ACS Law. So again, I mean, Anonymous have to be accredited with something, and certainly for bringing up public knowledge and making a public interest in these topics, I think they've got to be thanked for that. Whether you agree or disagree with their actions today, well, that's a personal opinion. So I just wanted to add that, so for the interests of fairness, and obviously to put my view before we moved on. Is there any other topics we need to cover? Roy, we've been going for, I believe now, an hour and a half. Is that correct?
Well,
I think that's an hour and a half. Sorry?
Yes.
All right.
It's about 2 hours.
Right. Well, if everybody's happy, we'll start to close the show off, unless we have any pressing.
Right. I've actually got one recommendation for people, which is a Podio book. That's the reason this is a bit special is it's the last one in the series, and they're awesome. I'm halfway through the last one. I'll find the link for the show notes. It's on podiobooks.com anyway. The book is called Owner's Share, but it's the 6th book in a series by Nathan Lowell. This is all Creative Commons. You can go and download the audiobooks and listen to them. They're separated chapter by chapter. And it's a science fiction thing. It's set way in the future. It's about a guy called Ishmael Horatio Wong, who starts off as a dependent. He's living with his mum on a corporate planet. She's working as a teacher for the company. When she's killed in an accident, he can't live there because he's not employed. He has to try and get a job. The only job that he can get, basically, is a lowly attendant in, effectively, the Merchant Navy. So that's him. He's off in space with a solar skipper, travelling between the stars, taking freight and trading and stuff like that. And it's just the day-to-day life of being on like the Merchant Navy and stuff, like working in the galley and taking shifts on watch duty and all this kind of stuff. It's day to day. There's no fancy set pieces. There's nothing big explosions and all that kind of stuff. It's day to day. It sounds really bland, but it's fascinating stuff. It's read by Nathan Lowell himself. There's like quarter share, half share, full share, double share, captain share, and this is owner's share now. And this is the last of them, I believe. This is the series is now complete. So If you want something that's very, I mean, a lot of books and a lot of stories have a sort of fast, frenetic pace. They insist on action, action, action. This is a very sedate. It's there to be enjoyed, essentially. It's a lot more sedate, and it just draws you in. It really does draw you in. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more unusual to listen to, so check it out. It's podiobooks.com, and it's Nathan Lowe. The series was called something along the lines of Trading Tales of the Solar Trader or something. I can't remember. I think it's just been shortened to Trader's Tales now. But certainly check it out. Owner's Share. I'm halfway through it, and it's brilliant. So.
Right, well, I'll await your link in IRC for the show notes. Roy, is there anything else you want to add on the end before I do my final outpiece?
I hope on future show we'll actually decide before the show what pieces of music to play. We don't do any playing, and today I personally was in a bit of a hurry going to the gym. And one of the things we did, we went straight into the show. We weren't discussing about the topics to cover. And what also happens is then we don't have any agreement on what track to play at the end. And I'm hoping each episode will be able to offer the listeners some sort of exposure to new pieces of music. Although I really appreciate Tom Smith for giving us permission to use his track, which is also the opening track in one of the characterizations of the show, or one of the hallmarks of the show, if you like, because that song kind of also reflects on the types of things we cover, because we like to talk about the how should we put it? The song talks about shooting the troll, or actually addressing the issues with people who try to harass you. And one of the things we do in this show, we talk about people who challenge either authority or challenge their competition in some sort of ways. And a lot of the time, this sort of discussion, at least when you run a blog or when you go on forums, it tends to be a bit more abrasive, and it tends to get all kinds of reactions which are somewhat hostile. I'm not sure Gordon can attest to the same experience, but I know from my experience with Tim on the web, he gets a lot of abuse from people, and he tends to touch certain subjects, such as products which are being cancelled at Microsoft, and he tends to therefore attract the PR agents of companies, the employees of companies, which don't exactly find his comments to be very flattering. And then we have to try and kind of shoot the trolls. We have to try and address the issues brought up, and we have to try and maintain our status or our credibility, because these people are trying to attack us as individuals. One of the reasons, I should say, just before we close the show, we started the show when Tim and I were talking about a way of trying to present our characters, not just with text, but also trying to speak to people who tend to follow the work we do on the web, and trying to put it in the form of a discussion, quite informal, no scripting, and also occasionally bring people on the show and get a chance to talk to some people and create a community in a form of a vocal thing. So that's pretty much it.
Well, before we go then, like Roy says, we're going to be ending on I Fought the Troll in a few seconds, and I'd just like to say thank you for downloading and listening to us all yet again. It is a pleasure for all of us to do this show. We're not able to do the show as much as we'd like. Probably a lot of that's my fault with hectic other commitments and things like that, but we certainly try whenever we can to get out a cheeky little extra one. Anything that you hear on the show, if you are ever interested in seeing in action sometimes what myself and Roy have experienced, we mentioned in regards to being attacked on blogs and things like that, it's very simple. You can write these type of articles yourself. If you're critical of a large firm, you'll see yourself, you'll bring these people to your site, and you can experience for yourself the sorts of comments and insults that you can get from merely voicing an opinion that isn't favourable to a large proprietary firm. With that in mind, I've got one piece of advice to you. You may have noticed that earlier on in the show I had to go downstairs for a few minutes because I was called by the wife. Here's my piece of advice. If you're ever considering doing a podcast, don't ever promise your wife, partner, girlfriend, husband, whatever, that you'll do the washing up before you do it. Because if you do, you get called down in disgrace halfway through the podcast. So I apologise to everybody for going down and having to take my telling off from my wife for not doing what I was supposed to do. I hope you'll join us all next time. We're going to be going out with Tom Smith and I Fought the Troll. And thank you very much for downloading, as I say, and we'll see you next time.